My name is Susan. I'm one of the public service librarians on staff. I host both the afternoon and the evening book clubs here at the library. Historical fiction is always a popular choice for our book club readers, as well as for readers in general. A question for you. What did the Great Depression, the blizzard of 1888, and the largest manhunt in England's history have in common? They are each the subject of a new book of historical fiction, and I'm sure you'll want to read at least one, if not all of these titles. The first is Kristen Hanna's very popular title, The Four Winds. The time period is what is known as the Great Depression, spanning roughly the decade of the 1930s. The story starts in the Texas Panhandle, part of the Great Dust Bowl of America, and moves on to California, the great westward destination of the thousands fleeing the dust. Our main character is Elsa Martinelli, a woman warrior who battles the dust storms until she has no choice but to head west. As a single mother of two, she is faced with the challenges of trying to provide for her children. She finds the grinding needs of poverty clash with the greed of corporate farming and the emergence of workers' unions. In this battle zone, she finds her voice and fights to find a way forward. Though the book reflects the overwhelming odds that people dealt with during these years, there is a hopeful note that triumphs. The audio version of this book features Julia Whalen, who herself is a master storyteller. Don't forget to have a box of tissues nearby for this one. Our second featured title is Melanie Benjamin's newest novel. Melanie was looking for a new project, and in conversation with her publisher, the suggestion was made to write something involving children. The idea of the children's blizzard immediately popped into Melanie's mind, and she was taken with the idea of exploring this event. Sometimes known as the schoolhouse or the school children's blizzard, this weather event hit the American plains the afternoon of January 12, 1888. Over 200 people died in the blizzard, and many of them were children. Several factors contributed to the devastation of this weather event. First was the unseasonably warm day at the start. Many folks, glad for the reprieve, wore only light shawls or their shirts, no gloves or other winter weather gear as they went about their day. The storm hit around the time many children were leaving the schools to head for home. The teachers, many of them barely past being school children themselves, were in charge. The children were sons and daughters of recently arrived immigrants, the land foreign and often brutal, not what they had been promised. The storm came in very quickly. Cold Arctic air met warm southern air, and the temperature plunged quickly. There were high winds, blowing the heavy snow nearly horizontal and blinding anyone out in it. For those who survived, many lost hands or feet to frostbite. Benjamin tells the story through the eyes of two sisters who teach away from home in different communities. They both survived the storm. One is lauded as a hero. The other is branded a murderess. The third book I wanted to share with you is a new title from Marie Benedict. First, a bit of background on Marie Benedict. Marie spent 10 years working as a commercial litigator at one of the top law offices in the U.S. She often dreamed of unearthing the hidden historical stories of women. When she began writing, she created a series of historical fiction excavating the stories of important, complex, and fascinating women from the past. She started with The Other Einstein, the story of Albert Einstein's first wife, Marie, who was a physicist herself. She then wrote Carnegie's Maid, the story of a brilliant woman who may have spurred Andrew Carnegie to philanthropy. That was followed by The Only Woman in the Room, the story of Hedy Lamarr, who, along with being one of the most beautiful and exotic women in Hollywood, was also an inventor. Those of us with Wi-Fi connections have Hedy Lamarr to thank. That was followed by Lady Clementine, the story of Lady Churchill. And that brings us to her newest book, which explores the story of Agatha Christie's 10-day disappearance. A disappearance which resulted in the largest manhunt Britain had ever seen. After 10 days, Christie was located at the Swan Hydropathic Hotel in Harrogate, Yorkshire, where she had registered as Mrs. Tressa Neal from South Africa, Neal being the surname of her husband's lover. She never gave any explanation for her disappearance. In later years, she refused to talk about the incident. 2 doctors did, however, diagnose her with an unquestionable genuine loss of memory, or amnesia. But opinions remain divided over the true reason for her disappearance. There are still differing theories about what happened. Just what role did her unfaithful husband play? And what was he not telling the investigators? Benedict takes one theory of Christie's disappearance and develops it in her story. But not all of Christie's fans agree, and reviews of Benedict's book run both ends of the gamut, from those who love it to those who don't. For these and other outstanding titles, check with our librarians. We're always happy to recommend something for your reading pleasure.